Good morning. Welcome. I have the honor of introducing the Fairchild Air Force Base Honor Guard. They will be presenting the colors this morning. Please rise for the presentation of the colors.
Halt. Raise. Heart.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
For heart. Colors. Colors turn. Heart.
Thank you, Fairchild Air Force Base Honor Guard, for posting the colors. Please be seated. I'd like to take care of a couple of housekeeping of things. Please silence your cell phones. If you need to take a call, feel free to step outside the auditorium. It will be greatly appreciated. In the event of an emergency, we will exit through the doors behind you into the Exhibit Hall B. We will evacuate out on the loading dock and will walk to North Division Street to wait for further instructions. AEDs are available in every room at the convention center. In the event of a medical emergency, call 911 and contact event and conference staff. The Spokane Convention Center's address is on the back of your badge. Good morning. My name is John Lopez, and it is my honor and pleasure to welcome you to the 72nd Annual Governor's Industrial Safety and Health Conference. This conference is a long-standing tradition for us. It has been 5 years since we last held this conference in Spokane. We are so glad to be back here in person. The conference was created following World War II, when it was discovered that almost as many Americans lost their lives on the job working in the defense industries as were killed fighting in the war itself. The Governor's Industrial Safety Advisory Board was created in 1951 to provide a means for representatives from various industries to contribute and serve as advisors regarding safety in the workplace. The board is made up of representatives from labor and management, representing 16 industries, and is supported by staff from the Washington State Labor and Industries. The board was incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit in 1979 to more effectively manage the logistics of presenting an annual conference. Today, the board's outreach has grown beyond the annual Governor's Conference and now includes Construction Safety Day, Maritime Safety Day, and 2 Agriculture Safety Day conferences. I represent the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, District 751, across Washington State, and I'm humbled and honored to be this year's GISHC president. I would like to take the opportunity to thank my immediate predecessor, David Hundley, of the American Society of Safety Professionals. Other past presidents here today include James Teakin of the City of Spokane, American Federation of County, State, and Municipal Workers, Local 270, Robert Taft with Sound Transit, and Doug Buman with Other Laborers International Union of North America. Without their help and guidance and support, as well as support of the entire board, I would not be standing here today. I also want to give out a shout out to our industry planning committees. They brought 58 sessions and 3 pre-conference workshops. The GISHC directors and Emeritus members volunteer their time to bring the event together. And those that I want to give a shout out to include Tasha McMaster, conference manager. Could you stand if you're here? Christy Lynn, conference coordinator. Julie Sir, conference assistant. Darren James, exhibit hall manager. Jessica Morrow, and Nicholas Hall, Lifesaving Award coordinators. GISHC's partners in safety include the Evergreen Safety Council, University of Washington Department of Environmental and Occupational Health Sciences, Washington Department of Labor and Industries Division of Occupational Safety and Health. There are 72 speakers and 60 exhibitors sharing their latest advancements in safety and technology. Also, I'd like to give a big thank you to our sponsors that include the Platinum sponsors, the Boeing Company, Kaiser Aluminum. Our gold sponsors are Stop Claims, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and Local 77. And the silver sponsors are AGC of Washington, Hoffman Construction, Pape, Westrock. We're excited this year. Pole Top Rescue Competition Finals will take place during lunch on the Riverside lawn at the Convention Center. Our Pole Top Rescue sponsors are Ariat International, Avista Utilities, Carhartt Company Gear, Dragonware, Grant PUD, IBEW Local 77, Lakeland Industries, Milwaukee Tool, National Safety Apparel, Snohomish PUD, Tyndale Company, WestX, Milliken Brand, Wrangler, Contour Brands. All the sponsors are listed in your program and are on display in the arch out in front. We're extremely grateful to support and commitment for their part in workplace safety. Let's give them a hand. So we are taking steps towards a paperless conference. If you go to your app store and search for WA Governor Safety Board, you will see the GISHC logo with the 4 icons in a box. Download the app and try it out. You'll be able to see your personal schedule, receive conference updates, view the convention center map, and share photos. There are also some important dates on the app, including the 2024 Agriculture and Construction Safety Days. And now, I would like to introduce Craig Blackwood, the Assistant Director for L&I's Division of Occupational Safety and Health.
Well, good morning, everybody. Is that loud enough or is that too loud? So for the next 5 or 6 minutes, if you have your conference guide, it'll help you as I share some information. So if you showed up in Tacoma last year for our governor's conference, you would have seen me up here talking, and I spent the 5 or 6 minutes doing what we call the consultation infomercial. The premise being, right after the pandemic, on the heels of all that we went through, it was a great time to call our consultation services and get help ensuring your workplace was safe and healthy for employees who've been there through the pandemic and those coming back. So today, I'd like to take you to the back of the guide. We're going to talk briefly about what is on the back of your guide. And when you look there, you'll see a great looking full-page ad, Marketing Consultation Services. That photo at the middle bottom, you'll see our new consultation logo. We're using that in many marketing efforts. Hopefully you'll see it on Facebook media and other places as we try to get the word out through many channels as to the benefit of consultation. And some of those bullet points you see there are things I shared last year, but just to quickly reiterate, consultation, reduce your risk of citations or even getting them, lowers your claims and experience factor. We can help you build your accident prevention program or any other safety and health program you need help with. You aren't cited. If a hazard is found, our consultation staff will help you fix it. You are in control of the experience. You could have us look at your whole site, a single item or parts of it, whatever you'd like. The consultation is confidential. And the most important bullet point is not on the back sheet, but the experience will make your workplace safer for employees. And as a reminder, our consultation program is made up of safety, hygiene, and risk management staff, all standing by to help, and many of them here. So if you're interested in consultation, you see me walking around and want to be connected with someone from our consultation staff, just let me know and we will make the connection. And speaking of paperless, if you scan the little QR code on the back, you'll be taken to our website and you'll get lots of information about DOSH consultation, including local contacts you could call depending on what area you're located in the state, as well as schedule a consultation electronically. So scan that QR code. All right. So that's the back of the guide. So now I'm going to direct your attention, feel like Vanna White, to the inside of the back cover. You'll see an infographic there that says facts. You also see a little sign up here that says facts. So one of the things you'll hear us talk about, myself and others at the agency, is our unique position at Labor and Industries in having our state OSHA plan, our workers' comp system, and our SHARP program, Safety and Health Assessment and Research for Prevention, fondly referred to as our mini NIOSH program, all housed under the umbrella of Labor and Industries. It allows Washington State to do unique things no other states can do. And the facts, focus on the facts, is one of those things that was done in conjunction with DOSH, workers' comp, and our SHARP program. A few years back, my predecessor, Ann Soiza, got together, worked with SHARP, and went through an array of data from Washington State, injury, illness, and fatality data, and summed it up in an easy-to-remember format. And this is not new. Some of you may have heard it a few years back. The previous infographic was the state of Washington with a little focus on facts in it. But just like last year was time to remind everybody of consultation, this year it's time to, let's get back to basics. We've been 2 years kind of on the heels of the pandemic. What do we need to focus on? So if you call consultation and you're waiting to get their services and wondering, where should I spend my time today to really get the most bang for my buck when it comes to addressing hazards at the work site? Remember, focus on facts. So the F is for falls. Falls, I think most of you know, continue to be a leading cause of death and hospitalization in the construction industry for sure, but across many other industries as well. And the most prevalent falls we see or respond to with inspections are falls from ladders. ladder safety is still a big one to be paying attention to. So the A, assaults and struck by. So this is being struck by someone or something. And we first put this together. Workplace homicides were rising up the list of cause of workplace fatalities. Unfortunately, that hasn't changed. C, caught in or between. So working in excavations, confined space, moving parts on machinery, doing lockout, tagout work. T, for toxins or toxic chemicals. There's an array of hazardous chemicals in use in the workplace. Some cause acute hazards for employees, other chronic, many both. We all know there's many specific diseases related to chemical exposure, including a multitude of cancer types. And finally, the S, sprains and strains. There's repetitive motion, awkward lifting, slips, trips, and falls. These continue to be a leading cause of workplace injury in Washington State, as well as cost of claims. So we're only about 15 minutes into the conference, or so. So 3 takeaways already for safety and health, right from the get-go. You want to make workplaces safer? Call DOSH Consultation for help. Focus on the facts, and then take whatever you learn, your new knowledge and connections over the next 2 days, and use that to help make workplaces safer. And so with that, that's kind of another infomercial for consultation, but not quite as much. So I'd like to introduce the Director of Labor and Industries and my boss, Mr. Joel Sachs.
Now I'd like to take the honor to introduce Craig Blackwood, the Assistant Director for L&I's Division of Occupational Safety and Health, better known as DOSH.
Good morning, everybody. So, turnaround is fair play. I woke up this morning, I came down, started walking over, ran into a couple people from L&I, and unfortunately called one of our employees by the wrong name. So turnaround and karma is fair play. Thank you, John. Can you join me in thanking John for the wonderful job that he's doing? It is being willing to take time from the job that you've got to commit to coming together to put on a conference like this is just incredible. And my thanks goes out to John, your leadership, everyone on the board, everyone in the staff of Labor and Industries, everyone who volunteered. Could everyone who helped put this conference together just stand up for a moment? Can you join me in giving everyone a round of applause? The reason I think we start with the thank you, and is that we gather together for these next 2 days to reaffirm our commitment to workplace safety and health. And as John shared, these conferences started both here in Washington and across the country because there were too many workplace fatalities. And quite simply, we knew as a society that we could do better. The idea behind these conferences is to come together to both reaffirm our commitments and learn from each other. I'm curious, how many of you here is this your first conference? Can you just raise your hand? Wow, welcome. I hope, and how many of you have been to more than 10, give or take, of these conferences? Raise your hand. You know, what's really cool is the number of people for whom this is your first conference. You represent a fair portion of the folks here. So I want to encourage you to really take advantage of all that the conference planners put together. And it's so great to be here together. It's been 4 years since we've been able to gather together in person here in Spokane to learn and recommit ourselves. And for me, coming together here in Spokane is also incredibly important this year because 2023 represents the 50th anniversary of the work of WISHA, or the Workplace Industrial Safety and Health Act here in Washington State. And what I know, without a shred of doubt in my mind, is the WISHA Act because of the work that you've done, because of the work of your predecessors who have sat in these chairs over these last 50 years. There are countless numbers of workers in Washington who got to go home at the end of the day rather than the hospital. What I know is because of the work that you do and your predecessors do, and the folks who will sit in these chairs in the coming years, that Washington is one of the safer states in this country to work in. And so on behalf of all of our workers, on behalf of all of our employers, thank you for who you are, thank you for what you do. Can we give ourselves a round of applause? Now here is why we have to keep coming together. As we gather today over these next 2 days, if tomorrow is like any other typical day at Labor and Industries, we're going to see about 284 claims for people who got hurt on the job come in the door. Put it in perspective, there were, give or take, about 600 people who registered for this conference. So look around, look at the number of people in this room. We together represent about the number of people, if not a little less than the number of people who are going to be hurt on the job and file claims in the 2 days that everyone is together focusing on workplace safety. And I think you'll agree with me that workplace accidents are things that are absolutely and categorically preventable. And so our commitment is to come together and to look at what is it that we can be doing to prevent workplace accidents, workplace illnesses, workplace fatalities from occurring. And here in 2023 at the department, we've been focusing on addressing hazards that need to be addressed. Just in 2023, give you 3 examples of new rules that we're in the midst of putting together or putting out. We are updating our rules to protect workers from excessive heat. We are producing rules to protect workers from wildfires. We're updating our rules for workers who work in oil refineries. And we are committed in 2024 and 2025 and 2026 to continue looking at the facts, as Craig described, to continue to look at what are causing workplace injuries and what can we be doing through our rulemaking to be able to address that. But you know what, that's not enough. When I go around the state, when I talk to employers, when I talk to workers, and we talk about what prevents workplace injuries, workplace illnesses, workplace deaths, what we all recognize is the rules are a floor. It's a minimum. It's not good enough. What prevents workplace injuries, illnesses, fatalities is that culture of safety. It's that commitment that we have to each other to say, when I show up to work today, what is it that I can do to protect myself? What is it that I can do to protect my coworkers? It's employers saying, safety comes first. Because when I focus on safety, I have a more productive, I have a more effective, I have a more profitable organization. And that's a huge element of what we're going to be doing together over these next 2 days, is what are the things that we can be doing to continue to promote that culture of safety in every workplace in Washington State. And I think Washington's got something special going for us. As John introduced the board, the thing about the board, I think, reflects the culture that we try to cultivate, which is governments, workers, employers, all coming together with that common goal of preventing the preventable, preventing workplace injuries, preventing workplace accidents, preventing workplace fatalities. So I firmly believe it's that culture, it's that work that you do each and every day, it's the work that your colleagues do that make this such a great and safe place to work. So as we go into the conference today, I want to encourage you to do a couple of things. As Craig gave you three things, let me give you 3. The first is I want to encourage you to meet someone in this room that you haven't met before. Create that contact, create that support to help you in the work that you do each and every day. Second, as you choose out of the 58, did you say, John, 58 different workshops, pick the one thing that you can actually do back on the job when you go back next week. And then third, and maybe most important, what's that one thing that you're going to share with somebody else? What's that one thing you're learning here that someone back in your workplace, if they knew, would be able to do something to prevent the preventable, to prevent an illness, prevent an injury, prevent a fatality. If we do that together, then what we'll be able to do collectively is continue to work in a state where we get to go home at the end of the day to our families and our friends, because what happens in the workplace is safe, it's thoughtful, and it's a recognition that we're in this together. So with that, let's have a great conference. Thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to introduce Lance Stotts. Lance is the electrical panel member from the city of Seattle, and he'll talk about the pole top rescue process. Lance?
Good morning. It's nice to be back in Spokane after a 5-year absence. It's also nice to see that the weather is going to be like it would be on the west side of the state. So many of us are from over there, so we're going to feel right at home this morning. I'd like to thank the board. We've been able to put on the pole top rescue competition at the Governor Safety Conference since 1973. This year would have been the 50th year that we would be hosting this event. However, COVID took over for a couple of years, so next time we come to Spokane in 2025 will be our 50th year of competition. Pole top rescue is mandated by the Electrical Workers Safety Rules, which is WAC Chapter 45. We're required to be trained and become proficient at pole top rescue in the event that we have an emergency out on one of our job sites. So what is pole top rescue as far as a competition goes? So we will give a team a scenario. They're going to have to figure out what the electrical hazard is. They're going to have to call for help. They're going to have to tool up, climb up the pole. They're going to have to isolate the hazard and also make it safe for the rescue. They will determine whether the victim is conscious. They'll determine whether the victim has breathing. They will then rig them up via a hand line, send them down the pole, which once it gets to the ground, the groundman will begin 5 cycles of CPR. The lineman will climb down off the pole. He'll treat for shock. He will also take over and do 5 cycles of CPR. At that point, that event will be over. This is a timed event. It is judged by former pole top rescue competitors. We try to keep the judges get new ideas. We try to cycle them through every 2 years, but we always have a holdover judge. Yesterday at Avista's Jack Stewart Training Center, we had 6 teams from around the state. It's nice to see that we got the 6. We were hoping for more, but we understand the travel and also the financial conditions of many of the utilities that are involved. One nice thing to see was of the 6 teams, several of them had newer or brand new competitors, which is nice to see because they are the future of this program. So those 6 teams were Avista, Clark County PUD, Grant County PUD, Inland Power and Light, Snohomish PUD, and Tacoma Power. Avista Utilities is the host utility for this event this year. They host the preliminary and also the final event. Even as we speak, they're out staging for the final event out at the Riverside Lawn area. The Final Four will be held at noon today. Unfortunately, there's been a mix-up in the program scheduling. We will have at 11:45 a high-voltage demo trailer out there showing what some of the hazards are that we deal with, but also what citizens and contractors do when they get into electrical power lines, whether they be overhead or underground. So I'd like to recognize the Final Four teams for today's competition. They're Snohomish County PUD, Inland Power and Light, Tacoma Power, and Avista Utilities. Also, congratulations to Grant County and for Clark County for their participation. I hope that they will be able to come back and also to learn and improve and hopefully get in that Final Four next year. I would like to meet with the Final Four teams at 11 o'clock in the Suite A area of the Doubletree Hotel. That's right by the main doors coming in. We'll get your tools out there so that we can start the event on time. We'll also draw your order of competition. Thank you.
So you'll notice at the right of me, there's a display with the boots, the vest, hard hat, flower, and the candle. They represent workers who we've lost to workplace fatalities last year. Thank you. I believe we can all agree that there's far too many names on that list. This time I'd like to introduce Derek Diaz from KXLY and Good Morning West from your very own Spokane.
All right, hello everyone. It is a big honor for me to be able to present these awards to a group of true workplace heroes. And we all know no one leaves for work thinking they will soon be faced with a life-threatening situation. And none of us really know how we would react until it happens. But the people we're honoring today all acted quickly and heroically to unexpected emergencies, and their actions saved lives. These stories about people who stepped up to help their coworkers and strangers are comforting, and they strengthen our faith in humanity and in our communities. You never know when an emergency will occur, but the quick thinking and fast actions of our honorees reassures us that our coworkers, neighbors, and sometimes even perfect strangers are there to do the right thing, and we can all feel a little safer knowing people like these are among us. So now, we're going to meet this year's Lifesaving Awards recipients. Every one of these recipients responded without hesitation to someone in need and took the necessary steps to save lives, demonstrating that our communities are truly compassionate and strong. So please join me in honoring these 22 brave and selfless workers in Washington. We start with John Luce. He was driving to a substation for his work with the Vista Corp when he saw a man performing CPR on another man on the side of the road. Without hesitation, John pulled over and dialed 911. The man performing CPR explained it was a third-day fentanyl overdose. John noticed the man searching for naloxone, commonly referred to as Narcan. Naloxone is a medication that can reverse the effects of opioids during an overdose. John joined in the life-saving efforts, performing chest compressions while receiving instructions from a 911 operator through an earbud. Emergency medical services arrived, took over compressions, administered that naloxone, and used bag breathing to help the man recover. John's quick and determined efforts were crucial in keeping the man alive until medical help could arrive. Let's welcome John to the stage. All right, our next recipients are a trio: Nathan Lundberg, Dan LaPlante, and Tim Carlson. Nathan was just arriving at his job at the Boeing Company when he noticed his colleague Bill was slouched over a computer. He then collapsed face first onto the floor. Nathan and another colleague felt for a pulse, soon realizing that Bill's heart was no longer beating, and he wasn't breathing, so Nathan began chest compressions. Soon, Dan arrived to help, becoming the voice of hope, telling Bill, "Stay with me, fight this, you have your daughter's wedding." Aware that Nathan was tiring, coworker Tim Carlson stepped in, taking over those compressions. Medics arrived, and using an automated external defibrillator, or an AED machine, they were able to shock Bill's heart, and his pulse returned. Bill said he has immense gratitude for his coworkers, acknowledging the CPR they performed and their quick actions saved his life. Nathan, Dan, and Tim, please come on up. All right, next up now is Shaden McCoy, a paraeducator with the Clover Park School District, who was watching over lunchtime when he saw a 5th grade student choke on a piece of a pretzel. Shaden administered the Heimlich maneuver about 10 times until that pretzel piece was finally unstuck and the student's breathing returned to normal. Although that student was understandably shaken, there was no lasting harm. Shaden's ability to notice the problem right away and act quickly while remaining composed was crucial in saving the student's life. Shaden? Maybe we don't have Shaden here today. Last call, Shaden McCoy. All right, we'll move on. Courtney Pettit is a social services specialist with Child Protective Services at the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. A caregiver carrying a 1-month-old baby approached Courtney and her coworker, saying they were concerned about the baby's health following prior medical treatment it had received throughout the week. Courtney took a quick look at the baby in the car seat and immediately noticed an unusual grayish tint to the baby's complexion. Without hesitation, Courtney quickly removed the baby from the car seat, gently placed it on the office floor, and called 911. Following the operator's guidance, Courtney performed CPR on that baby for about 6 minutes before medical professionals arrived. The baby's condition stabilized, and it is receiving further medical care. The caregiver's quick decision to seek help and Courtney's quick response played a vital role in that baby's survival that day. Courtney? All right, our next recipient is Roy Cardenas. During a dinner with residents and staff, one of the residents suddenly showed signs of distress and couldn't communicate. Moving quickly, Roy, a juvenile rehabilitation counselor with DCYF, immediately took action, administering the Heimlich maneuver, successfully clearing the blocked airway. Once the obstruction was cleared, Roy made sure the resident was okay until they could get further medical attention. Roy's quick response and ability to stay calm was crucial in preventing a potentially deadly outcome. Roy, come on up. All right, our next recipient is Dorina Fithen. Dorina was working as a juvenile rehabilitation community counselor with DCYF when she heard a car crash outside of their office door. She ran outside to find a driver had crashed their car into a pole. Dorina put the gear shift in park and was able to communicate enough with that driver to learn they had taken fentanyl. Dorina quickly ran to get naloxone from her desk and then administered 2 doses to the driver. She then gave the driver a 3rd dose while simultaneously performing chest compressions. The driver regained consciousness and alertness. Dorina's quick thinking, her access to that naloxone, and her CPR skills played a pivotal role in saving the driver's life. Dorina? Okay, no Dorina, we'll move on. Our next recipients are John Hagfeld and Steve Short. They are Energy Northwest employees who were working when they observed their colleague Bob Powell's health was declining. They quickly dialed 2222 for medical aid, getting Bob to the hospital without wasting valuable time. John and Steve's rapid reaction meant Bob received crucial and timely medical treatment that not only saved his life, but also prevented long-term damage. John, Steve? Our next recipient is David Kaiser, an operator at the Grant County Public Utility District, was in the right place at the right time. One of his colleagues was choking and desperately signaling that he needed help. Another operator stepped in to do the Heimlich maneuver, but it wasn't working. So David, a 9-year volunteer firefighter and EMT, noticed the height difference between the operator and his coworker and realized that's why it wasn't working. David helped his colleague reposition his stance, concentrating the pressure on the choking woman's diaphragm. She suddenly started breathing again, and thanks to her coworker's quick actions and David's emergency medical knowledge, no harm was done. David? All right, moving along. Sue Green is a project director in the Healthcare Authority's Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery, who was leaving work when she saw people gathered around a man lying in the parking lot. While the bystanders talked with a 911 operator, Sue, a trained substance use disorder professional, suspected that this man was overdosing. She did a sternum rub, and with no response, she administered a dose of naloxone, and soon the man began to regain consciousness. Sue remained by his side, offering reassurance and speaking to him until emergency medical services arrived. Because of her training, she recognized the signs of an opioid overdose and had naloxone ready to use if she ever needed it. Sue's quick and compassionate reaction played a pivotal part in saving that man's life. Sue? All right, our next is a group of 5 recipients. Courtney Bissinger, Curtis Clausen, Ken Latin, Ben Schultheis, and Sean Suss. A student with a seizure disorder has a team of lifesavers from the Kennewick School District to thank for his life. During a PE class, the student had a seizure, but this time there was something different that caught the attention of paraeducator Courtney Bissinger, prompting her to get help. As the seizure unfolded, the student's complexion paled and his breath faltered. PE teacher Sean Suss sprinted to the office to call an ambulance. Curtis Clausen and Ben Schultheis overheard that call and stepped in to help. Blending his teaching role with his experience as a Marine, Curtis's medical expertise became a lifeline. Despite their efforts, Sean and Ken Latin, a retired Kennewick police officer who was also on site, realized this student had no pulse. Ben then jumped into action, retrieving a nearby AED machine. In sync with the AED signals, Ben matched its shock with deliberate chest compressions. Color returned to the student's face, he began breathing again, and his heart regained its rhythm. With a pacemaker and a new lease on life, the student returned to school and was able to play baseball in the spring. Courtney, Curtis, Ken, Ben, and Sean, please come up. All right, our next recipient is Carrie Franklin. As the morning bell rang, Carrie, a nurse in the Renton School District, received a message from the assistant principal regarding a student who had fallen down the stairs and was having difficulty walking. Carrie rushed to the scene to find that student laying flat on the ground. Despite being oriented and denying any head or neck injuries, the student was too weak to sit up, but could still move their arms and legs. That student told Carrie that earlier, during breakfast, they'd felt a sudden piercing pain in their right eye, followed by a severe headache. Carrie wasted no time calling 911. She observed the student's condition quickly worsening with vomiting, drowsiness, and weakening in the left side limbs. EMTs arrived and considered everything from migraines to seizures. Carrie's intuition, however, pointed toward a stroke, which would be unusual for someone so young. Carrie accompanied that student to Seattle Children's Hospital, where they were diagnosed with a hemorrhagic stroke due to arteriovenous malformation previously that had gone undetected. That student underwent surgery and was later transferred to Harborview Medical Center for further care. Reflecting on a decade of experience working at Harborview Hospital herself, Carrie's experience with stroke patients proved invaluable in saving this student's life. Carrie? All right, and finally, we have another big group: Justin Atkinson, Kellen Bowman, Trey Harris, and Anthony Haugstad. While working on a pedestrian replacement project, a Snohomish County PUD crew noticed smoke coming from a nearby house. Justin Atkinson and fellow crew members, Kellen Bowman, Trey Harris, and Anthony Haugstad quickly sprang into action, vigorously knocking on that door until the unaware occupants answered. The occupants were the elderly parents of the homeowners and lived downstairs in that split-level house. The father, a heavy sleeper with hearing difficulties, shared the space with his wife, who suffered from multiple sclerosis, used a walker, and was hearing impaired. Responders said the couple might not have heard the smoke alarms and gotten out in time if it weren't for the work crew's quick actions. Justin, Kellen, Trey, and Anthony, come on up. All right, those are our 22 Governor's Lifesaving Awards recipients. How about one more round of applause for everyone? And again, thanks for having me. John, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and give it up for our 2023 Life-Saving recipients.